Welcome to the Soulful Sips Podcast. It's your host, Tiana here, and I am just so glad to be back. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. It's season 2. As you can see, there is new things. We are visual with it now. Hello. And if you are new, you caught me at a great time because here we are, right? I am going to be so honest. I was not going to start day 1 today. I was not going to start this series today only because of the simple fact of my setting didn't feel right. I just didn't feel quote unquote ready, right? And as I was looking at my YouTube material, it was like this gentle, because God will never yell, right? It's this gentle nudge of begin day 1. And I'm like, but God, I sat there and I was wrestling but my set, but my this, what if this? And at the end of all of that, God ever so gently had to remind me if it was about me or if it was about him. So here we are. So although everything isn't what I wanted it to be, we're here today because that stuff does not matter. And at this point, I just needed to be obedient. So I am happy to be here. I'm excited for where this series is going. As you can see, we are in a series of 31 days of Proverbs, becoming wise. Because what is becoming the woman that you are called to be without having the wisdom to actually carry you through? So I have been prompted to do 31 days of getting in this word and getting it out. So I have my Bible, I got my notes, so let's get into it. Okay, so the version that I have is the CSB version. So just follow along with whatever version best suits you in the best way that you can understand it. Verse 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for learning wisdom and discipline, for understanding insightful sayings, for receiving prudent instruction in righteousness, justice, and integrity, for teaching shrewdness to the inexperienced, knowledge and discretion to a young man. Let a wise person listen and increase learning, and let a discerning person obtain guidance. For understanding a proverb or a parable, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and don't reject your mother's teachings, and they will be a garland of favor on your head and pendants around your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, don't be persuaded. If they say, come with us, let's set an ambush and kill someone. Let's attack some innocent person just for fun. Let's swallow them alive like Sheol, whole, like those who go down to the pit. We'll find all kinds of valuable property and fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot with us and we'll share the loot. My son, don't travel that road with them or set foot on their path, because their feet will run toward evil and they will hurry to shed blood. It is useless to spread a net where any bird can see it. But they set an ambush to kill themselves. They attack their own lives. Such are the paths of all who make profit dishonestly. It takes the lives of those who receive it. Verse 20. Wisdom calls us out in the street. She makes her voice heard in the public squares. She cries out above the commotion. She speaks at the entrance of the city gates. How long, inexperienced ones, will you love ignorance? How long will you mockers enjoy mocking? You fools hate knowledge. If you respond to my warning, then I will pour out my spirit on you and teach you my words. Since I called out and you refused, extended my hand and no one paid attention, since you neglected all my counsel and did not accept my correction, I, in return, will laugh at your calamity, will mock when terror strikes, and when terror strikes you like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when your trouble and stress overcomes you, then they will call me, but I won't answer. They'll search for me, but won't find me, because they hated knowledge. They didn't choose to fear the Lord, were not interested in my counsel, and rejected all my correction. They will eat the fruit of their own way and be glutted with their own schemes. For the apostasy of the inexperienced will kill them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. But whoever listens to me will live securely and be undisturbed by the dread and danger. If you are new to faith, I highly recommend the book of Proverbs be the first place. Why is it important to read Proverbs, and what is this book about? Verses 1 to 6 tells you exactly what it is you need to know. Proverbs is where you learn wisdom, discipline, you come for understanding, instruction, and integrity, and for teaching shrewdness to the inexperienced, knowledge and discretion to a young man. Let a wise person listen and increase learnings. Like 1-6 tells you the exact reason why you need the book of Proverbs. You went your entire life hearing about it, but you have no idea why it's important to you or why you need to understand it. There you go. The book of Proverbs is where you understand life. This is where you get understanding. This is where you get insight for where you're headed. This is where you get insight for where God is calling you to. This is literally the roadmap to building the business. It's the roadmap to become the person that God has called you to be. If you are new to faith, I would highly recommend the book of Proverbs be the first stop. Why? Because in order for you to even understand, get wisdom and the understanding, you got to understand where it's coming from, right? I hope that's making sense. I want to skip to verse 18 and 19. They set an ambush to kill themselves, and they attack their own lives. Such are the paths of all who make profit dishonestly. It takes the lives of those who receive it. It's simple as this. Don't follow sin because it leads to spiritual suicide. It's no over explaining that. If you know you're not supposed to be doing something, don't do it. In these verses, God goes on to explain how not to rob, how not to kill, like don't kill, steal, and destroy. Well, those are all three things of the enemy. So if you are choosing things that lead under one of those categories, you are also walking into a spiritual suicide. I want to backtrack. Before I continue, I want to go to verse 7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. The first step before doing anything, you need to learn how to fear the Lord. You need to learn how to bow down to God. And if you don't, you're a fool. Like, that's not even me saying that. Like, that's just scripture. You have to learn to fear God. I was talking to my husband one day and there was like this statement, and I may mess it up, but he said something along the lines of like, being with men, it's one thing to be with people who are aware of God and know God, whether they're on the path or not, but it is a whole nother story to be around someone who don't believe God and don't even care to get to know him, because that person, they gonna be out here doing anything, everything, and drag you with them, not thinking about the next person, whole walking into death, and don't care who come with them. They don't fear a consequence. There's nothing higher, like they don't fear anything higher than them. And maybe there's a situation that you can think about, or a person that you've been around before who just be out here just doing as if there is no consequence for their actions. You have to fear the Lord. What is becoming if you don't fear the Lord? Because see, I'm scared that I make it and I don't hear good and well done, faithful servant. And that ties into making sure I'm obedient, because if I'm not obedient, then there's a consequence for those actions. So the next question is, well, how do I know if I'm being obedient? What am I supposed to be doing? Let's skip to verses 23 to 26. God says, if you respond to my warning, then I will pour out my spirit on you and teach you my word. If you are currently stressed out about life right now, you don't know what to do next, you don't know what to do with that child, you don't know what to do with your marriage, you don't know how to steward what God has given you, you are just lost. God says, pray for wisdom. Pray for wisdom, and he will teach you his words. That's a promise. If you sit and you pray for wisdom, God will give you what is next. We have, at the end of the day, reality is happening. There is things that is out of our control. And I think the problem with a lot of people is what they do next when they realize it's out of their control. It's either you have option A, where you gonna make it back in your control, which is gonna drain you, it's gonna stress you out, it's gonna lead to other things, or B, you're going to just go pray about it, and you're going to wait. You're going to wait on the Lord. You're going to wait on God to give you the next instruction. So whether that be with your finances, maybe the bills is due and everything is out, like it's just not looking like it's gonna make it, pray and ask for the wisdom. What do I need to do right now, God, to make this happen? Because sometimes God just may be telling you, just wait. Sometimes that is the instruction. You praying, asking for the next step, and God is just telling you to wait. That is the wisdom, because there's something he's doing in that waiting, in that moment. You don't know how to build the business. Pray for wisdom. God called you. If God called you to the business, he's going to carry you throughout how to build it, the systems needed, all of those good things. But if you don't pray for the wisdom, you are going to lead yourself into a spiritual death. Where you're confused, pray for the wisdom to get the understanding. That is the main thing that verse is saying. God says, I will teach you my words. Now we're going to skip down to 24 to 26. Since I called out and you refused, extended my hand and no one paid attention, since you neglected all my counsel and did not accept my correction, I, in turn, will laugh at your calamity and I will mock when terror strikes you. Now, some people will read that and be like, you know what? This is why I don't want to do da 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 da. Like, no. Pause, sister. Because at the end of the day, you could pray for wisdom and the very next thing that God tells you to do could be something so simple, or it may be something mundane. And to you, from the world view, you're not going to follow it because it either looks crazy, you don't believe that the bill is going to be paid on time, because you're steady trying to figure out, well, how? Because I don't got nothing in my bank account. Everything is just not looking right. God gave you a vision to start the business. You don't understand how, because you don't even know what skill, you don't even know what team. It's so much that if we consume ourselves with what we see in the world, we will never see and experience the woman that God has called us to be, because we're just so stuck in a box. It's like we put these limitations on God. God's word says, I tried, but you didn't listen. Sometimes the very most simple thing that God is asking you to do is the next step of obedience, is the next step of understanding, because in following that instruction, he's able to reveal himself more and more to you. He's able to reveal what he's trying to do. And maybe time will go past and you won't see it in that moment, but you'll look back and be like, oh, okay. I didn't know it then, but I know now. Okay, I don't know about y'all, but I got plenty of those seasons, okay? I got plenty of those moments that I could share. So all in all, don't wait until it's too late to try to go for wisdom, because at that point, God is just going to tell you, look, I tried to tell you and you still ain't listening. It's kind of like that look of like, I said what I said and I'm not going to say it again. But I'm also laugh because you just didn't follow it. You didn't trust me. The simple things has the biggest understandings in the end. Because they hated knowledge and didn't choose to fear the Lord. People don't fear God enough. And it is so important that I go back to this, because throughout the book of Proverbs, you have to understand the instruction itself was the fear of the Lord is the beginning of all knowledge. So if you don't have fear of the Lord, then how are you going to get the rest of what's being said? How are you going to understand how to walk the way God is calling you? How to talk the way he's trying to change your language? How are you going to understand that? Verse 31 says this, and they will eat the fruit of their way and be glutted with their own schemes. So I'm going to put 29 and 31 together. People reject God and get filled and so caught up in the world and so caught up with me, where they are eating their own fruit and being filled with their own ways and being filled with their own understandings. So God says, if you make your bed, then lay in it. But I'm going to be over here when you need me, because I know you're going to need me eventually. You're going to break eventually. You're going to call on me eventually. You're going to turn on me eventually. God is just asking us to really pay attention to wisdom. That's all he is asking us in this chapter. He is asking us to pay attention to wisdom, to listen and relax and be easy and just know that we are in good hands. Because when you have wisdom, you have a whole nother understanding that the world sometimes cannot comprehend. But when you're in your word and you understand the character of God, you're able to know how to move forward accordingly. So things that are sent to you that's meant to like put your mind in a tizzy, to make you stressed out, because you have wisdom, You don't have stress. It's not as much stress. It goes away. It fleets quickly. It doesn't last because I know I have God on my side. God says in verse 33, but whoever listens to me will live securely and undisturbed by the dread of danger. That is in the word. That's a promise. God said that. So when calamity tries to come, wisdom, God ain't gonna laugh at me because, baby, I'm asking. It could be the smallest of things. I am to the point in my walk where it could be the smallest of things. And I'm like, God, give me understanding. Give me wisdom. How do I navigate this? And sometimes it could be the most craziest thing. I feel like God probably be like, girl, you know what to do. Verse 32 talks about people who are complacent. If you are complacent right now and God is calling you to move, this is like a verse you need to study on your own as well. Because it's straightforward. It's pretty straightforward. Being careless kills you, and complacency is murder. And that could be heavy, but what that means is if you are remaining the same and you are feeling stuck, the reason you're feeling stuck is because you're not being obedient somewhere along the line where God is telling you. Somewhere along the line, you're not having the understanding. Somewhere along the line, you just need a little bit more wisdom to understand the next step. Being complacent is not how God calls us to be. We're not complacent in the kingdom. So what makes you think you can just be walking around here just stuck and confused and not knowing what's next? Somewhere along the line, you need to ask for wisdom. What is next? Because you're leading yourself to a spiritual suicide. It says complacency is murder. God put us all here to fulfill a mission. We all have a purpose on this earth. We all have work that is already said and done in the kingdom that needs to be loose on earth. So what makes you think that where you are right now is your permanent situation? There was a quote, and I cannot remember. I think it was like from Steve Harvey, but he was like, if you're going through hell, why would you stop there? If you know you serve a faithful God and you are a disciple of Jesus Christ, what makes you think he just wants you to sit there? No, you got to ask yourself, where are you not being obedient? Where do you need wisdom? Where do you need understanding? And I am going to be repeating that often because I would not be sitting where I am today, although I am not exactly where I want to be. But baby, when I tell you, I have come so freaking far, okay? Excuse me having to say that, but I just needed to emphasize, like, I have come so far from where I used to be. And so I'm not even going to sit here and act like I haven't nudged or I haven't moved anywhere. No, I'm sitting here today because I've constantly asked God for wisdom. I've constantly asked God for understanding. I've constantly asked God, what am I supposed to be doing? What do I need to be doing to become the woman that you've called me to be? Complacency of fools will destroy them. That's what the verse says. Ask for wisdom. I want to hop back to verse 31. I'm sorry this is not in order, but we're going to get it together as this series goes, okay? For the apostasy of the inexperienced will kill them. True wisdom comes from God, not from degrees, not from medals, not from our accomplishments. Because see, if you get caught up in listening to someone who is only me, who done made their bed and got to lay in it, you will be tricked into thinking there is a formula to be successful, to be rich. There's a formula to be wealthy. And although there is, you have to be very discerning into who you are listening to and how you're grounding yourself and being rooted in scripture, because then you're able to discern those voices, right? The formula is God. All of this begins with God. It doesn't begin with our efforts. It doesn't begin with our discipline. It begins with God, let alone the fear of God. Because the day that we transition from this earth, the first thing God is not finna sit there and be like, oh, and you completed that? Okay, cool. And what is that accomplishment? Oh, wow, another milestone. No, when we die, Sis, I would hope the only thing you want to hear is good and well done, faithful servant. All of the actions that I take today, I run with that and I am led with that, because that is all I want to hear. And because I do not know the day or the hour, I want to make sure I am stewarding all that God has called me to. I want to make sure that I'm empty. I want to make sure I'm empty in a way of like, I didn't gave all the giving I could give. As far as like the knowledge, the resources, all of those things, whatever it is that I can to go out and make disciples, I want to make sure I'm doing that, because that's all I want to hear when my time is up. Everything else, hey, the book of Ecclesiastes, we could do a dive. That could probably be the next series, but the book of Ecclesiastes, all of these things is futile. Like it's fleeting. It begins with God, period. That is the way. When we talk about fearing the Lord, I just want to also touch on what it necessarily means to fear the Lord. Of course, the first thing you're thinking is like, oh, like I'm scared. Now, although that is correct, that is one way of looking at it. But as I read this and lingered on it, another way that God needs us to fear him is in a positive way as well. But fear can also mean having the right posture over feeling, being in awe in all that God can do, being able to worship him, just being, I can't even think of another synonym right now, but just being in awe of God. So you can be in, I don't even know how to explain the feeling. Like you can just be in awe in all God can do as you journey and pick up this book and see all that God can do. But then he does it to you, or then he does it to your friend or a church member, whatever the case is. You can be in such awe that it makes you fearful. It shifts your posture. Like I truly hope I'm saying this right in a way that you can understand. Not necessarily in a scary way, but in a way of knowing he is the I am, and he is the most powerful. And you could also find yourself wrestling with God and be scared of all that power, okay? Because he is the I am, and he surpasses all understanding. So in all of this, outside of just being scared, like a shaking scared, is also a posture that you have over feeling. I truly hope I broke this down the right way I have it in my notes. I hope you with me, sis. So before we continue this series, ask yourself, well, do I fear the Lord? What areas of your life can you have better understanding? What areas of your life today can you ask for wisdom? I hope day one has blessed you. Make sure you subscribe so you can come back for more, y'all. We have 31 days of diving into this, and today was only day one. And may you overflow and pour into others. Until next time.